Right then, so you've made it to lesson 3. That's brilliant. Give yourself a big pat on the back. And you've already started building a picture of your ideal audience, and you're using basic demographics and a bit of behavioural insight. So now we're going to go a little bit deeper, and we're not going into their inboxes or their browser history, don't worry, but we're going to go into what actually makes them tick. So welcome to Psychographics, and this is where real connection lives. So you don't just want people visiting your content, you want them nodding along thinking, oh, that's me, before they even reach your offer. So demographics are the basics. You've got age, location, income, job, and things like that. And you can usually find that in your analytics dashboard. But psychographics, that's where the real gold is. So we're talking motivations and values and interests and fears and emotional triggers. And these are the reasons some binge in your blog or download your lead magnet or share your podcast at midnight. So some good tools to use for this section will be tools like Deepseek and ChatGPT. If you pop this following prompt into your favorite research tool, I've used ChatGPT and Deepseek, but here's the prompt. Describe the motivations of a freelancer seeking passive income, just as an example. And if we take a look at both of those two results, so this is Deepseek. So you can see that Deepseek has come up with some pretty good motivators here. So these are the types of things that your ideal audience member is typing in, looking for, searching for, scouring the internet for. So you can see there, some of them include work-life balance and burnout prevention, leveraging existing skills and knowledge. So Deepseek has already done the research, and it's giving you some real quality gold here. And if we type the same thing into ChatGPT, so describe the motivations of a freelancer seeking passive income, type of thing that has come back here, slightly more detail, because obviously I have trained my ChatGPT to understand what type of thing I'm actually looking for. So, and also it gives me some quotes and all sorts of stuff, because obviously I create a lot of content. So it's given me the type of thing that I would actually look for. But they're very, very similar in the research information that has come back. So they would be things like escaping the time for money trap, diversifying risk and income streams, building a future they own, creating margin for life, not just work. So, and it's also given me some good examples of what type of thing they're looking for. So it would have things like it supports lifestyle design, working less without earning less, it enables time for rest, family, travel, and building a bigger mission beyond the inbox. So all of these things, they basically add to my brainstorming data pile. So it's all very good data to add to your psychographics worksheet. So now you need to ask yourself, how do these motivators show up in the real world? And maybe they're skipping meals to meet client deadlines, or scrolling YouTube at 2 a.m. looking for shortcuts to freedom. So what we need to do is we need to give a practical value tip. So we need to write down 3 motivations your audience actually has. And then we go back and we add 1 emotional word to each one. So instead of time freedom, try thinking of craving time freedom after burning out. So phrasing it like that makes a big difference. Right, so moving forward, we're going to have a look at another tool now called Jasper AI. And Jasper AI is very beneficial for audience profiling, its ability to quickly analyze customer data. And it's very, very good at identifying key characteristics and generating tailored content and strategies around those characteristics. So it excels at understanding audience preferences and their pain points and their desires. in other words, helping you create more effective marketing and content campaigns. So if you put this prompt into Jasper AI and take a look at the results. So here's the prompt. What interests are most common among people looking to start automated businesses? And that's just one example that you can actually use, but tailor it to your own business model. So some typical responses to that prompt might be digital productivity tools, email automation, lifestyle design. So you've got a picture of valuable material to help you with your content. And so you might come up with a mini course on Trello for solopreneurs, or a blog series on automation for creatives. And it's a very good way of lining up your content to a very specific and targeted audience. So now let's add some salt to the soup. And here we're going to talk about a tool called NeuroFlash. Now, NeuroFlash stands out for its ability to generate very high quality AI-powered content that is tailored to specific industries and use cases. So here's an example prompt of what you can type into NeuroFlash. What emotions drive a female freelancer in her 30s to start a digital business? So this is something that I might type in, get the results for my audience. And you'll see things like, based on that prompt, you'll see things like anxiety about unpredictability, or relief at building something secure, and excitement at creating something of their own. So you can see that there's emotion tied into those statements. Right, so let's have a success story here. So Olivia ran a blog about digital income, and opt-ins were dismal. So she got NeuroFlash to help her uncover that her audience wasn't just curious, they were actually overwhelmed, especially parents. So she changed her lead magnet, or at least one of her lead magnets, to this: 10 passive income ideas for busy parents who need more family time. And boom, 60% increase in signups. So the tip is emotion isn't woo-woo fluff, it's actually fuel. And if your content isn't making people feel the feels, then it's just noise. All right, so once you've got a rough idea of who your audience is, it's time to drill down into how they behave online and what they consume and who influences them and what kind of language they actually respond to. So step one would be to describe your audience. So head over to a tool called SparkToro and pop your specific phrase in, like freelance graphic designers in the UK. And you're not guessing here, you're targeting real people who already exist in the ecosystem you actually want to serve. And step two, discover their digital footprint. So SparkToro will show you where they hang out, like podcasts, blogs, social accounts, and even the hashtags they use. And this is gold for your content strategy. You don't have to create demand, you just need to show up where it already exists. So step three will be to refine your content strategy. And now that you know what your audience is paying attention to, you can tailor your messaging to match. So you can also spot collaboration opportunities like guest posts, podcast appearances, or even partnerships that tap directly into their trusted sources. And step four would be to implement the insights. So here's what that looks like in practice. So for example, Daniel was selling Canva templates, but the audience wasn't biting. So SparkToro revealed that one of his followers were in the wellness space. So think yoga studios, holistic therapists. So he created a wellness template pack, spoke their language, and doubled his sales in 3 months. So don't just look at demographics, look at discovery behavior. And this is knowing where they hang out. That will help you speak their language on the platforms they already trust. Okay, so here's where you take all of this and give it a name, a face, and a purpose. So when you're filling in your avatar sheet, you can break it down like this. So you've got your demographics, your age, location, education, job, etc. And then you've got your psychographics, which are the values. So it would be something like freedom or self-sufficiency. And then their interests, which might be online tools or automation. And then you've got their emotional triggers. So it could could be burnout and uncertainty, and their motivations behind what they do, which is building a legacy or taking control of their time. And then give your avatar a backstory. Yeah, so it could be, for example, Sarah's a 35-year-old freelance marketing consultant in London, and she's earning well, but she's stuck trading hours for money, and she's got 2 young kids and a backlog of business podcast episodes she listens to at midnight, and she's ready to swap the hustle for strategy. That's an avatar with a story. So the actionables for Sarah might be a lead magnet, so 5 automation tools every freelancer needs. The email series would be a gentle, empathetic, solution-focused approach, and the product might be an evergreen course that comes bundled with Notion templates. So don't just describe your avatar, actually plan for them. And ask yourself the question, what's the very next thing they actually might need? So it's time to complete your worksheet. So use Google Analytics for demographics, obviously, and SparkToro for behaviour and discovery and insight, and Jasper AI for motivations, interests and values, and NeuroFlash for emotional drivers. Now, they're not set in stone. You can obviously use your own tools if you want to, but here's some prompt suggestions for you. So what motivates a mid-career freelancer to seek time freedom? Or what emotional triggers lead someone to invest in automation tools? So now we're filling in this, we're cooking on gas now. So we filled in the demographics, we're filling in the psychographics, we're doing the backstory and the lifestyle, and we've done the content and the product ideas, and 3 action steps that you can take right now to actually reach this person. So don't just make it a persona, make it a plan. And the more specific your avatar, the more strategic your marketing will be. Okay, so demographics show the outside, psychographics show you the inside, and when you combine both of these together, you're no longer guessing, you're actually connecting the dots. So with your upgraded avatar in hand, you'll know what to write, when to send it, and why they'll care. So next up, we're turning avatars into buyer personas, so you can automate content that feels personal and not robotic. So pop the kettle on, and I'll see you in lesson 4.